If you are someone who gains weight around your midsection, then this video is for you. There are specific foods that cause us to gain weight in this area. And this is because the weight that we gain around our midsection is actually a different type of fat than the fat we gain elsewhere. This fat is called visceral fat, and it's actually more dangerous than subcutaneous. So if you want to lose belly fat, here are 4 foods you want to reduce, if not cut out entirely from your diet. Number 1 is pop and sugar-sweetened beverages. Okay, so this is actually a drink, but I just had to mention it first. So I'm talking pop, I'm talking sweet iced tea, I'm talking Gatorade, even vitamin water. These all contain high amounts of added sugar. And when we see sugar written on a label, 50% of it is in the form of fructose. Now, when we consume fructose in excess, it's more likely to be stored as visceral fat, whereas if we consume glucose in excess, it's more likely to be stored as subcutaneous. And this is because fructose has to be processed by the liver, where in contrast, glucose doesn't. Now, I mentioned pop and sugar-sweetened beverages first because they are the top source of fructose in our diets. These drinks allow us to consume massive amounts of fructose that we wouldn't be able to get just from eating food. And I really want to highlight here that when it comes to losing visceral fat, it's not just about cutting calories. And this was demonstrated in a study where fructose was replaced by starch. Basically, no change to macros, no change to calories. It was just replacing one type of carbohydrate for another. Within only 9 days, visceral fat had reduced by an average of 10%. That is a huge decrease. And again, this was with no change to calories. So if you can replace pop and other sugar-sweetened beverages in your diet for something else, I can almost guarantee you're gonna see a reduction in your visceral fat very quickly. A drink I would recommend as an alternative is Good Idea. These drinks are lightly carbonated, they contain no added sugar, including fructose, and no artificial sweeteners. And they actually contain a blend of amino acids that has additional benefits for reducing visceral fat. We'll get into that a little bit later in the video. Number 2, cereal. Now, when I say cereal, I'm not just referring to the obviously unhealthy ones that are loaded with sugar, but even brands that are marketed as being healthy. Because even these do contain a good amount of sugar. And even if they don't have a lot of added sugar, they are still very high in carbohydrates, which is broken down into sugar when we consume it. Anytime we ingest carbohydrates, they are broken down into glucose and they enter our bloodstream, causing our blood sugar to go up. Now, our bodies always want to keep our blood sugar in balance. They want to keep it between about 4 to 6 millimoles per liter or 70 to 100 milligrams per deciliter. When blood sugar increases, our bodies have mechanisms to bring it back down. And even when our blood sugar drops too low, our body has mechanisms to bring it back up. So after we eat carbohydrates, insulin is released to take the excess sugar from our bloodstream to our cells. And stay with me here because I promise this ties into visceral fat. Now, when we have high levels of insulin for long periods of time, excess energy is actually more likely to be stored as visceral fat than subcutaneous. So anything we can do to keep our insulin levels lower is going to help us to reduce fat and reduce visceral fat specifically. Now, I'm not saying that all carbs are bad and that you have to avoid them, full stop. Yes, low-carb diets are a very effective way to lose weight and lose visceral fat specifically. However, there are times and ways to eat carbohydrates that result in less of a blood sugar and insulin spike. For example, if you pair carbohydrates with protein and fat, this helps to slow down digestion, so less insulin is needed all at once. Or if you drink Good Idea, which I mentioned earlier, before you eat a meal that's higher in carbohydrates, this helps our cells to become more sensitive to insulin and take in glucose more readily. So again, less of a spike, less insulin is needed. Now, the worst time to eat carbohydrates and sugar is during our first meal on an empty stomach. And yet, this is when we're most likely to be eating cereal. When we eat carbohydrates on an empty stomach, there's nothing there to help slow down digestion. So the blood sugar spike is more dramatic, as is the insulin one. Not only does this contribute to excess energy being more likely to be stored as visceral fat, but this also sets us up for bigger blood sugar swings the entire day. And these swings come along with highs and lows in our energy, in our mood, and cravings as well. Instead, make sure your first meal is rich in protein, at least 30 grams, and also healthy fat. Eggs are a great option, avocados are a great option, non-starchy vegetables are good, so is low-sugar fruit. Smoked salmon is a good protein source, so is bacon if it doesn't have any added sugar. These are gonna help with visceral fat reduction and also help to reduce our blood sugar swings throughout the day. Number 3, vegetable oil. And this is an interesting one. When I refer to vegetable oil, I'm referring to canola oil, soybean, corn, safflower, cottonseed, and grapeseed oil. These oils are classified as vegetable oils, although they actually come from seeds. And these have an interesting connection to belly fat. They're usually marketed as being healthier, but only because they are low in saturated fat. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Saturated fat is actually healthy. It's one of the best fats to cook with because of how heat stable it is. The fat that's in vegetable oils is not heat stable at all. You can only heat it a very small amount before it oxidizes. 99% of vegetable oils you buy off the shelf have already oxidized because they have to be heated during processing. That's why they actually don't taste like anything, they don't smell like anything, because they've oxidized and the companies have removed the smell and the taste to mask this. When you consume these oils, they cause inflammation in the body. And this inflammation leads to more fat being stored as visceral fat. And I wanna make a quick note here to say that the smoke point of an oil is not the same as the point the oil oxidizes at. I know grapeseed oil is known as having a high smoke point, but like I said, it's already oxidized when you buy it. Anyways, all of this is to say vegetable oils can contribute to visceral fat and make it harder to lose it. So swap to coconut oil, ghee, or tallow, and you're gonna see huge improvements pretty quickly. Number 4, flavored yogurt. Now, before I was educated in nutrition, when I had some excess weight to lose, I thought yogurt was one of the healthiest things you could eat. And let me be clear, it's not the yogurt itself that's a problem as long as you're tolerant to dairy. But when you buy flavored options, they contain so much added sugar. And on top of that, they usually don't contain a lot of protein, and they've usually had a lot of the fat removed as well. And like with cereal, this macronutrient combination is going to cause a big spike in blood sugar, and a lot of insulin is going to be needed to process it. So whenever you can, opt for a plain yogurt instead and add your own fruit. Even better if you choose a Greek yogurt because the protein is going to be higher. And even better still if you choose a full fat option. This is going to help to balance your blood sugar even more and keep you fuller for longer. Let me know in the comment section down below if you struggle with belly fat and if there are any foods that you've added into your diet or that you've removed that you've noticed a difference. I love chatting with you guys in the comment section and hearing your experience and your thoughts on the video. So even if you want to just come say hi, I appreciate it. And before you go, make sure to check out Good Idea Drinks. I'm gonna put the link to their website in the description box down below. If you use code KATE10 at checkout, you can save 10% off your order. And they are also available in some stores in the US. The stockist list is on their website. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you guys found this helpful and I will see you next time. Bye.